I'm joined now by the co-founder of Indivisible, Ezra Levin. Ezra, thanks so much for taking the time.
Hey, great to talk, Brian.
So Ezra, we're in a situation now where we just watched 8 Senate Democrats capitulate to Republicans to reopen the government without the main concession we were looking for, which was the extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies. In light of this move, you now have a game plan. Can you explain what announcement that is?
Brian, we are launching the largest primary program in the history of Indivisible. We launched it today. You can see it at indivisible2026.org. Look, we've spent the last year trying to convince Democratic leadership and the broader Democratic Party to treat this regime as a real threat, to unify as an opposition party. That started with town halls in February and March, and then hands off in April, and No Kings in June, and No Kings 2 in October. We produced the best election night in a decade plus last week, and the Dems were on the upswing. We were winning this shutdown fight. I want to be clear, we were winning it. The Republicans were on the ropes. Donald Trump's approval ratings were going down. Democrats, they were actually getting plaudits from around the country. People were supporting their position on the shutdown. We were winning. And in response to that, we saw this utter capitulation. I would love nothing more than to be a cheerleader for the Democratic unified opposition. But we have to be real that after a year of trying to convince this leadership that it should take on this regime and treat it like a serious threat, they're not listening anymore. So we can either give up, which I do not think is acceptable, or we can demand a party that fights back. That's what this plan is. It's not ideological. This isn't about left or right. This is about, do you fight back or do you surrender? We cannot afford a party that surrenders, while the fascists are terrorizing our communities, are invading our cities, and are menacing our democratic institutions. We need a strong, unified Democratic Party that fights. We're not going to get it by asking nicely. We're going to get it by demanding it in the primaries that are coming up.
Can you talk a little bit about what the conditions are for the folks who are involved in this whole primary process, who engage with your program?
Yeah, look, I would like to say that it was just the 8 Democrats in the Senate who capitulated, but I think you and I both know that that's not true. This was an orchestrated plan. The 8 Democrats that voted with the Republicans were 8 Democrats who were not up for re-election or are retiring. They were chosen to take the heat because they weren't going to be chasing the voters anytime soon. The way that we need to take on the Democratic Party writ large is to demand better. And that doesn't just come from me saying this is the candidate or that is the candidate. It's got to come from all of us. So Indivisible is going to be working directly with local Indivisible members and groups in target districts and target states to take on the Senate and the House Democrats who are rolling over and playing dead. So that includes both open primaries where everybody is vying for the nomination, the Democratic nomination, and it also includes sitting Democratic senators and representatives who are currently siding with the rollover and play dead caucus instead of with the fight back faction of the party. So I think this is going to require all of us to get engaged and demand better in this primary that's coming up. Some of us are represented by a rollover and play dead Democrat. Some of us are represented by nobody because our member is retiring. Some of us have an incumbent member who's pretty good. We all have a role to play to demand better from this party, and we're looking forward with this program to tap into that mass movement energy that wants better from the Democrats.
You know, we're going to see the collection of the centrist Democrats who decided to capitulate, to cave to the Republicans, and folks are going to look at any primary program and say, look, these are moderate Democrats. They represent moderate states, and so any program that seeks to usher in some more progressive primary challengers isn't going to best reflect those states. What do you say to those people?
I would say this is not ideological, and it's really important that we understand that. Look, I have my own ideological ideas about what tax policy should be, or healthcare policy, or education policy. Those aren't the fights that we're in right now. The
Right.
fight we're in right now is, do you want a democracy or an autocracy? Do you want a Democratic Party that fights back and uses its leverage or not? And I would call on progressives up for re-election like Markey to say, yes, I want new Senate leadership, in the same way that I would call for more centrists like a Mark Warner or like a John Hickenlooper in Colorado to say, yes, I want new Senate leadership. This is not ideological. It's not generational. It's not geographic. It's not by how long you've been in office. It's by, do you recognize the crisis that we are facing right now? And are you willing to rise to the occasion? And if you are not, I don't care how much you have done in the past. I don't care what policies you support in the past. You are not fit to lead in this moment, and we're going to demand better. When we polled our groups, just this weekend on, do you want to see Democrats cut a deal to end the shutdown, even if they don't get subsidies, or do you want to see them keep on demanding and keeping on fighting? 98.67% of Indivisible said keep fighting. 98.67%. The chasm between normal rank and file Democrats and the current version of the Democratic Party leadership is so vast that there is a massive opportunity in the coming primaries to demand better. That's not ideological. That's whether you want to be a winning party or a losing party.
You had mentioned that this is not generational. Can you talk about the importance, though, of ushering in some degree of generational change? The reality is that my generation, millennials, have largely been boxed out of government because we have not only baby boomers but folks in the silent generation who have been in power for so long, to the point where there haven't been any opportunities for millennials, and certainly not Gen Zs, to really rise into the ranks of power. And in those instances where they do, I mean, look at the way that they're able to succeed. Mamdani is 34 years old. He's very close to my age, and the way that he was able to harness the electrifying enthusiasm in New York to the point where he drove out so many more people that otherwise wouldn't be involved in politics. I mean, isn't that the whole point? To see leaders who really recognize, who can better relate to the people that they're striving to represent, and that's something inherently that somebody who's been in office for 40 years, who may be in their 70s or 80s by now, can't do in the same way that somebody who's younger can do?
Look, I think there's a Venn diagram that is not quite a circle, but it's almost a circle, as you're pointing
Yeah.
out, between the younger generation and those who are actually able to communicate in the 21st century media environment. Look, Chuck Schumer is literally the least popular political figure in this country. We've got a fascist running the country from the White House with unified Republican control, implementing the least popular policy agenda of my lifetime. And the Democratic Party is less popular. Our leaders are less popular because they don't know how to actually communicate with people and meet them where they are. You're damn right. Somebody who's younger, who grew up in this media ecosystem, is probably going to do a better job. The reason why I say it's not generational is all accept all comers. If you're willing to actually communicate in the way that you need to communicate and fight the fights that you need to take on and use the leverage that you're taking on, great. I will accept that. But if you're not, yeah, we need new messengers who can actually communicate with the folks that we need to be communicating with. And what we can't do is just throw up our hands in response to this surrender and say, well, that's politics for you. I guess this is just the Democratic Party we have. We get the party we demand. The place we demand it is in primaries. If we're going to demand something better than the establishment Democratic leadership, we've all got to get engaged and demand that new party that we need.
And I would just add too, in case folks are watching and think, oh, this is just, rabble rousing, like primaries are good. Primaries are healthy. And in fact, when we've had strong, healthy, even combative primaries, those are the situations where we've had the candidates emerge from them who were in the best position to be able to win. I mean, how many candidates did we have in 2020 when Joe Biden came out of that primary process? He won the election. How many candidates did we have when Barack Obama ran in his election? He emerged and was able to win a national election. It is inherently the situations where we don't have strong primaries, where it feels like one candidate was kind of anointed the winner. I mean, that was the principal concern in the 2016 election between basically Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. There was a lot of criticism over that, where it felt like one candidate was just the anointed winner. In this past election cycle, 2024, where it was chosen that Kamala Harris would be in, and that's notwithstanding your feelings about Kamala Harris or the 2024 election more broadly, but the reality is, when we have had divisive, strong primaries, the candidates that have emerged have been in a better position to win national elections. And the reality is that they have won those national elections after those instances.
Look, you are exactly right. There is no conflict at all between a healthy Democratic primary and kicking the fascist ass in the general election. That's the plan. They happen on different timescales.
Yeah.
From March to September, we're going to be talking primaries. Who's going to win the Democratic nomination? And I'll tell you, Brian, we're going to win some of these fights. We're not going to win all of them. And you know what we're going to do after the ones we win, after the ones we lose? We're going to rally around whoever the hell wins the primary. We're going to say, it's the Democrat or the fascist. Who do you want? We are going to rally around our least favorite Democrat in the general election and make sure they wipe the floor with the Republican in the general election. And we can do that knowing that we gave it our best shot. And it didn't pan out our way, but we still need to build a House and a Senate majority. Those aren't in conflict. It's even better than that, to your point. It will create stronger general election candidates that will help us take the House and Senate and will build, if we are successful, a party that people can actually believe in. This is the brilliance of Mondani, inspiring people to actually show up and believe in politics again, winning young men by 40 points. My God, that's the dream, is to have candidates who inspire the electorate to actually say, wait, maybe politics isn't bullshit. Maybe I can believe in these candidates to do something new, but we're not going to inspire them with the least popular political figures in the country who are septuagenarians and octogenarians who don't know how to work a smartphone.
All right, talk to me about the website that you've just launched. Where can people go? How can they help?
Here, it's indivisible2026.org. We are launching it today, and we're launching with a very simple ask. We want you to join the program, and if you've got a message for Chuck Schumer in this moment, I know I have a few messages for Chuck Schumer. If you've got a message, let us know. We are collecting them from across the country, and we will be sending them his way as we move forward to a primary campaign that ensures he doesn't wield power in the future.
Awesome. Ezra, as always, thank you for lack of a better term, for giving a shit, for always making sure that you give folks an outlet to express some of their either anger or fatigue or whatever it may be about the current political environment. Folks should also know that Ezra was the organizer of the No King's Day protest with the rest of the team at Indivisible. So thank you for all the work that you're doing. Thanks for taking the time today.
Brian, great to be with you.